What if the legends of Hollywood's golden age were even more dangerous off-screen than on? The truth is, fame and chaos often walked hand in hand in Tinseltown's brightest days. Welcome to 20 Most Dangerous Hollywood Actors Who Were Totally Out of Control, a countdown that will shatter your old notions of classic movie stars. From explosive scandals and jaw-dropping crimes to wild addictions and dark secrets, the stories you're about to hear are as real as they are unbelievable. And trust us, the names and especially the number 12 spot will absolutely shock you. Number 1. Errol Flynn. What if Hollywood's golden age was built on secrets, seduction, and pure chaos? No one embodied that dark, dangerous glamour quite like Errol Flynn, the devil in the velvet coat. Flynn was more than a matinee idol. He was a living hurricane, his good looks matched only by the wildness that raged just beneath the surface. With a smirk that promised trouble and a British drawl that melted resistance, Flynn could charm the world on screen. But off it, he was an unstoppable force of scandal. The headlines started in the 1940s, when his name wasn't just in lights. It was in courtrooms and tabloid columns. Accusations involving underage girls brought Flynn to trial. Though he escaped legal conviction, he never escaped public suspicion. "I like my whiskey old and my women young," he once declared, turning a personal motto into a permanent stain on his legacy. Flynn's mansion was the stuff of Hollywood legend. Secret peepholes, hidden mirrors, whispered stories of peeping on guests who never knew. Tales of international espionage, wartime smuggling, and wild orgies only made the myth darker. Did he really spy for foreign powers? Or was it all just another chapter in a life that burned too brightly? By age 50, the party was over. Hard living left its mark. Flynn died surrounded by more questions than answers. He was the first warning sign that beneath the studio's golden glow, old Hollywood could be a dangerous, destructive place. With Errol Flynn, the legend and the chaos were always one and the same. Number 2. Charlie Chaplan. He made the world laugh in black and white, but Charlie Chaplin's real life was as messy as any silent movie slapstick, only with real victims and real scars. The Little Tramp was the most recognizable face in cinema, a clown who seemed innocent and harmless. Yet, behind the bowler hat and the famous mustache, Chaplin's off-screen escapades veered into truly dangerous territory. At 35, Chaplin married 16-year-old Lita Gray, a union that quickly unraveled into public disaster. Lita accused him of emotional manipulation and control. Their divorce trial played out in newspapers coast to coast. If that weren't enough, the scandal deepened with Joan Barry's infamous paternity suit, a tabloid frenzy, even when science eventually cleared him as the father. Chaplin was ordered to pay anyway, the court ruling stoking the fires of public outrage. It wasn't just his personal life under scrutiny. At the height of America's Red Scare, Chaplin became a target for his alleged communist sympathies. While he was overseas in 1952, the government made its own dramatic move. Chaplin was banned from returning, never allowed to become a U.S. citizen. "I remain just one thing, and that is a clown," he quipped, masking pain with comedy even as his career nearly crumbled. Through all this, Chaplin's genius never faded, but neither did the darkness in his shadow. His life was a high-wire act, charm, chaos, and controversy forever balancing on the thin edge of a cane. Number 3. Robert Mitchum. Some stars put on a tough guy act. Robert Mitchum just lived it. With his languid eyes, husky baritone, and don't-care swagger, Mitchum was Hollywood's original bad boy. A man who wore his vices like a badge of honor and seemed allergic to rules of any kind. In 1948, he made headlines with a scandal that would have destroyed most actors. Arrested at a wild party for smoking marijuana, Mitchum was sentenced to time behind bars. Did he apologize? Not a chance. "It's like being busted for holding a beer," he shrugged, his indifference only fueling his dangerous mystique. Far from derailing his career, The scandal shot him into a new stratosphere of fame. Audiences didn't turn away. They couldn't get enough. Mitchum didn't stop at drugs, bar brawls, arguments with directors, on-set fights with co-stars. He did it all, and did it with a smirk. "The only difference between me and my characters is, I don't shoot people," he told a reporter, perfectly summing up his unique blend of menace and wit. While Hollywood tried to polish its stars, Mitchum let his rough edges show. He was chaotic, reckless, and absolutely magnetic. A reminder that danger can be even more compelling than heroism. In the end, it wasn't just a persona, it was his way of life, and audiences never stopped watching. Number 4. Marlon Brando. When Marlon Brando exploded onto the screen, Hollywood itself seemed to tremble. Brando was a new breed, raw, untamed, volcanic. His performances blurred the lines between acting and living, as if every role was just another part of the emotional storm raging inside. But brilliance came at a price. Off-screen, Brando was as unpredictable as a live wire, mercurial, romantic, and often uncontrollable. He had passionate relationships with men and women, feuded with studios, and made enemies everywhere. At times, he seemed to delight in chaos, refusing to play by any rules but his own. He famously turned down his Oscar for The Godfather, protesting Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans, and derailed productions with his unpredictable moods. Brando's personal life was littered with tragedy. The murder conviction of his son Christian, the suicide of his daughter Cheyenne, these events shattered him. "I'm not sure I'm a human being," he once confessed, revealing a bottomless well of pain that seemed to fuel his genius. For co-stars, working with Brando could be a nightmare, 1 minute charming, the next cold, or even cruel. Yet his performances, fueled by the same darkness that consumed him, changed acting forever. Brando was both Hollywood's greatest rebel and its greatest warning. Brilliance and destruction, inseparable until the very end. Number 5. Clark Gable. He was the king of Hollywood, the man every woman wanted, and every man wanted to be. But Clark Gable's private life was a whirlwind of secrets and scandals, meticulously hidden behind his charming smile and dashing screen presence. One of the deepest secrets involved his co-star Loretta Young during the filming of Call of the Wild. Young vanished from the public eye, only to reappear with an adopted child. The truth, long buried, was that Gable was the father, and the circumstances were both controversial and devastating. It was a scandal the studio worked overtime to cover, along with many others. Affairs with married women, hushed-up altercations, and a relentless party lifestyle all swirled around Gable. But MGM's publicity machine kept his reputation polished and safe. "Keep the press happy and the police away," said one insider about Gable's real-life antics. The public saw Rhett Butler, a man of honor and romance. Those who knew him best saw someone chasing danger, running from his own demons, and leaving a trail of broken hearts in his wake. For all his glamour, Gable's legacy is a reminder that behind Hollywood's brightest lights, some of its darkest secrets have always been carefully kept in the shadows. Number 6. Spencer Tracy. With his solid jaw and steely gaze, Spencer Tracy was the model of the dependable Hollywood hero. But his public image as the upright leading man hid a lifetime of torment, addiction, and dangerous self-destruction. A devout Catholic, Tracy never divorced his wife, yet maintained a more than 20-year relationship with Katharine Hepburn, one of Hollywood's worst-kept secrets. The two were inseparable, but the tension of his double life drove Tracy deeper into despair. His drinking was legendary and terrifying. Entire productions would shut down as Tracy vanished for days on a bender, only to return without warning, leaving everyone on edge. On set, he could be generous and gentle, or suddenly volatile, lashing out at cast and crew. Working with him was like walking on glass in bare feet, one director famously said. The studio system protected him, shielding his outbursts and binges from public view because his box office value was just too great to risk. Tracy himself confessed near the end, "I had demons, and they never let me go." He died just 2 weeks after his final film. His story, a tragic tale of a man who seemed to have everything, yet could never find peace from the turmoil inside. Number 7. John Barrymore. The Barrymore name was Hollywood royalty, and John Barrymore was the prince. With a Shakespearean voice and a face made for close-ups, he dazzled audiences on stage and screen alike. But the higher the star, the harder the fall, and Barrymore's descent was one of the most spectacular in Hollywood history. At first, Barrymore's indulgences were legendary: champagne-soaked parties, razor-sharp wit, and a string of affairs that scandalized even jaded insiders. But it all spiraled into chaos. The drinking grew heavier, and so did the consequences. He started missing rehearsals, slurring lines, and showing up on set in no shape to work. Jobs dried up, debts mounted, and friends abandoned him. His once glamorous home became a den of mayhem, and stories of wild pranks and belligerent stunts became more frequent. "John Barrymore was the only man I knew who could outdrink his own legacy," said one producer. By the end, he was alone and broken, reduced to comic roles beneath his talent just to survive. When Barrymore died in 1942 at 60, it wasn't as a legend, but as a warning, a reminder that the same forces that create icons can just as easily destroy them. Number 8. Fatty Arbuckle. In the silent era, Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was a giant, his physical comedy and charm making him beloved by millions. But in a single weekend, he became the face of Hollywood's darkest scandal. His life and career destroyed by accusations so sensational they nearly brought down the entire industry. It was 1921, and a lavish hotel party turned tragic. Young actress Virginia Rapp died, and Arbuckle was at the center of a media firestorm. 3 high-profile trials later, he was acquitted, yet the damage was permanent. The public didn't care about the verdict. To them, he was guilty, and Hollywood quickly erased his name from marquees. Work dried up, friends disappeared, and Arbuckle was forced to direct under pseudonyms, scraping by in the industry that once adored him. Just when it seemed he might stage a comeback, he died of a heart attack, his chance at redemption gone in an instant. The impact went beyond one man's downfall. Hollywood, desperate to avoid another meltdown, created the Hays Code, the first major set of moral guidelines for the movies. Arbuckle's tragedy became a turning point, proving that even the biggest stars can be brought down overnight. Number 9. George Reeves. With his iconic Superman costume, George Reeves was the living embodiment of hope and heroism for a generation of kids. But behind the cape, his real life was a tangle of secrets, betrayal, and one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. In 1959, Reeves was found dead in his bedroom from a gunshot wound. The official verdict? Suicide. But almost no one believed it. He was engaged, making plans, and showed no sign of despair. What he did have was a stormy love life, including a long affair with Toni Mannix, the wife of a powerful, mob-connected MGM executive. When Reeves ended the relationship for a younger woman, his life took a paranoid turn. He felt watched, followed, and even wanted to leave the business. The night he died, guests were downstairs, but no one saw anything. The gun had no fingerprints. There were no powder burns on his hands. Was it jealousy? A mob hit? A studio cover-up? We'll probably never know. But one journalist captured the tragedy perfectly. He saved the world, but no one could save him. George Reeves's death left a cloud over Hollywood that never fully lifted. Number 10. Rock Hudson. To the public, Rock Hudson was the perfect leading man. Tall, handsome, and irresistible, a symbol of all American romance. But Hollywood's golden boy was living a dangerous double life. forced to hide his sexuality to preserve a carefully curated image. Studios orchestrated everything. Relationships with women were staged for the press, a fake marriage arranged to keep rumors at bay. For decades, Hudson could never truly be himself, not even at home. "I just want to be loved, but I have to pretend to be someone else to earn it," he confided to a close friend. The mask shattered in 1985, when Hudson became the first major celebrity to die of AIDS. The stigma was instant and devastating. The public was shocked. Some fans abandoned him, while others saw for the first time the weight he had carried for so long. His honesty in his final days forced Hollywood to confront truths it had buried for decades. Hudson's story is one of survival and tragedy, an icon who, even in death, helped change the world's understanding of what it means to be truly yourself. Number 11. Tab Hunter. Blonde, clean-cut, and impossibly charming, Tab Hunter was the poster boy of 1950s Hollywood, a matinee idol built for swooning fans. But off-screen, he was a man trapped by the very system that made him a star, forced to keep his identity secret in an era where the truth could end a career in an instant. Executives micromanaged every aspect of his public life, staging relationships, arranging fake dates, and feeding the press only what was approved. "Be what we tell you to be, or lose everything," was the message, and Hunter lived with the constant threat of exposure. One slip, one rumor, and his world could collapse. Hunter's private agony lasted for years. At the height of his fame, a brief detainment at a private party nearly destroyed him. The anxiety was suffocating. "I couldn't be who I was," he revealed later. Not until the golden era had faded did Hunter finally tell his story, releasing a memoir that stunned readers not with scandal, but with the sheer burden of the silence he had carried. In the end, Tab Hunter lived long enough to escape his chains, and to remind everyone that fame often comes at the cost of your most basic truths. Number 12. Tony Curtis. If Hollywood was a circus, Tony Curtis was its most dazzling performer, and also its wildest. With a killer smile and a run of hits like Some Like It Hot, Curtis ruled the screen. But off it, he was a man on a high-speed collision course with disaster. Curtis was addicted to being adored. His love life was a whirlwind. 6 marriages, 6 children, and more affairs than even he could remember, including a rumored fling with Marilyn Monroe. But the glitz faded fast. By the 1970s, Curtis was drowning in substance abuse. If you remember the 70s, you weren't really there. And I barely was, he admitted with characteristic candor. Producers stopped calling. Directors dreaded his presence, and his family life was left in ruins. His daughter Jamie Lee Curtis later spoke out about his absence as a father, and another daughter was cut out of his will completely. Still, even at rock bottom, Tony Curtis never lost that old-school charm. He faced the damage head-on. "I turned my life into a circus," he confessed, "and sometimes I forgot who the ringmaster was." His story is a glittering cautionary tale about how easily Hollywood's dream factory can become a house of cards. Number 13. Mickey Rooney. Before there were superheroes or billion-dollar franchises, there was Mickey Rooney, Hollywood's original child superstar, whose fame came as early as his own adolescence. Rooney had everything: fortune, fans, and a career that spanned generations. But he also had a wild streak that nearly ruined it all. Rooney's personal life was a tornado. He racked up 8 marriages. Yes, 8. Many ending in chaos and public feuding. He burned through fortunes at the gambling tables, piling up debts with some very unsavory characters. His appetite for risk and drama was legendary. Behind closed doors, things were just as turbulent. Rooney could be intensely charming or utterly impossible to manage. He was known for unpredictable on-set tantrums, belittling others, and making inappropriate advances, especially toward younger actresses. In his later years, he accused his own stepson of financial betrayal and exploitation, proving the chaos never truly faded. "I never had a childhood. I just had a career," Rooney once admitted. The boy who never grew up became a man who could never walk away from the spotlight, forever trapped by the fame that first built him up, then slowly tore him down. Number 14. James Dean. Some legends are made by what they achieve, others by how fast they burn out. James Dean did both. With only 3 major films, he became the ultimate symbol of youthful rebellion. But off-screen, he was just as reckless, living every moment like it might be his last. Dean was obsessed with speed, cars, motorcycles, anything that could give him a shot of adrenaline. Friends watched in terror as he tore down highways, ran red lights, and laughed about close calls. "I live every day like I'm going to die tomorrow," he once said. And maybe he knew, deep down, that he would. That prophecy came true in 1955, when his Porsche, nicknamed the Little Bastard, met its end on a California highway. Dean was only 24. The tragedy spawned endless rumors. Was he cursed? Was there something more sinister behind the crash? Theories and whispers only added to his myth. Dean's legacy was built on breaking the rules, on and off the screen. In the end, he didn't just represent a generation, he defined its dangerous hunger for freedom, even if it cost him everything. Number 15. Warren Beatty. Few actors commanded Hollywood's attention and fear like Warren Beatty. With matinee idol looks and a magnetic personality, Beatty was more than a star. He was a force of nature, known as much for his power plays as his blockbuster films. Beatty's romantic conquests were the stuff of legend, with rumors that he'd bedded thousands, models, co-stars, even political figures. Whether the numbers were real or not, his reputation as Hollywood's ultimate womanizer stuck. But what truly set him apart was his ruthless control over every project. If a script didn't fit his vision, he'd rewrite it. If a scene felt off, production stopped until he approved. Directors called him brilliant, but impossible. Beatty could bend entire productions to his will, turning every set into his personal empire. The irony? He shocked everyone by settling down with Annette Bening, choosing stability after decades of controlled chaos. One actress summed it up: "I've never known anyone more charming or more dangerous." Beatty's career is proof that sometimes the most dangerous players are the ones who never quite lose control, mastering the game while everyone else scrambles to keep up. Number 16. Mabel Normand. Long before TMZ or Twitter, Mabel Normand was the center of one of Hollywood's greatest unsolved mysteries. A comedy star whose dazzling charm was shadowed by tragedy and rumor. Normand was at the heart of the silent era, a trailblazer for women in comedy, adored for her wit and warmth. But everything changed in 1922 with the still unsolved murder of director William Desmond Taylor. Normand had visited Taylor hours before his death. Though never officially a suspect, the press tore her apart, spinning wild theories and dragging her name through the mud. Old controversies resurfaced. Her career, once unstoppable, began to crumble under the weight of public suspicion. The relentless gossip and accusations drove Normand into isolation, her health failing and her star power fading. Despite her innocence, the cloud never fully lifted. Normand's story is a haunting reminder that, in Hollywood, the line between fame and infamy is paper-thin, and sometimes the worst thing you can be is simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Number 17. Paul Kelly. Paul Kelly's story reads like a Hollywood crime thriller. Fame, violence, and a second act no one saw coming. In 1927, a heated altercation with fellow actor Ray Raymond turned deadly. Raymond died from his injuries, and Kelly faced a very public manslaughter trial. Prosecutors painted Kelly as reckless and dangerous. He was convicted and spent 2 years in San Quentin prison, a place few stars ever dream of seeing from the inside. Most actors would have vanished after such a fall, their careers destroyed by scandal and shame. But Kelly's tale took an unexpected turn. Once released, he clawed his way back to the spotlight. Critics praised his post-prison performances for their raw intensity, perhaps art imitating life, or maybe a man changed by hard times. Yet the stain of that violent chapter never fully faded. Kelly's name is now forever linked to one of Hollywood's first great scandals, a chilling reminder that sometimes the line between acting and reality is far too thin. Number 18. Robert Blake. In the world of television detectives, Robert Blake played some of the toughest, but in real life, he became the prime suspect in one of Hollywood's most chilling true crime stories. Blake's career spanned from childhood stardom to fame as the hard-nosed lead in Beretta. But in 2001, everything changed when his wife, Bonnie Lee Backley, was found shot dead in their car after a dinner outing. Blake claimed he had gone back to the restaurant to retrieve a forgotten handgun, only to return to a nightmare. The police and the press weren't buying it. The trial was a media circus. Friends and enemies alike weighed in. The public devoured every detail of the bizarre, twisted case. In the end, Blake was acquitted, but suspicion never truly left him. He spent his final years as an industry outcast, a man whose greatest role was overshadowed by the darkest Hollywood scandal in decades. Blake's story is a reminder that in Hollywood, the difference between a gripping performance and a dangerous reality can be terrifyingly close. Number 19. Joan Crawford. She was one of the greatest stars of Hollywood's golden age, an Oscar winner, a style icon, a woman who played strong, independent heroines. But off-screen, Joan Crawford's legacy became one of the most disturbing in show business history. After her death, the truth came spilling out. Her adopted daughter Christina's memoir, Mommy Dearest, accused Crawford of years of physical and emotional abuse. The stories were harrowing. Wire hanger beatings, humiliations, and psychological torture that would make even her villainous screen characters seem gentle. Crew members described a woman whose perfectionism could tip into sadism, berating subordinates, sabotaging rivals, and demanding absolute control on set. Rivalries, especially with Bette Davis, became the stuff of legend. Pranks, mind games, and Oscar sabotage. Some defended Crawford as simply demanding, shaped by a hard childhood and a youth-obsessed industry. But others said her cruelty was all too real. In the end, Crawford's fame couldn't shield her from the ugly side of Hollywood's golden age, when bad behavior was often rewarded, and powerful stars could get away with anything, at least until someone finally told the truth. Number 20. Wallace Berry. Wallace Berry played lovable brutes on screen, but his real-life reputation was closer to villain than hero. Directors and co-stars often described him as Hollywood's most unpleasant leading man, a manipulative, intimidating presence whose cruelty left scars everywhere he went. Berry's private life was even worse. He married 17-year-old Gloria Swanson, and stories of abuse quickly surfaced. Swanson accused him of drugging her, forcing an abortion, and controlling her life. On set, Berry was notorious for sabotaging colleagues, stepping on lines, physically intimidating rivals, and even pinching child actors to make them cry for scenes. Rumors swirled about his involvement in the mysterious death of producer Thomas Ince, though nothing was ever proven. MGM kept Berry on contract, partly to keep his secret safe. The two most disgusting men in Hollywood are Wallace Berry and Adolphe Menjou, one director said, and few disagreed. Berry's cruelty, both on and off the set, was legendary. His reign ended with his death, but the stories linger, a final chilling example of just how dark Hollywood's golden age could be. Which actor surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed diving into the scandalous side of old Hollywood, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more shocking celebrity stories. Until next time, Keep your popcorn ready, because the real Hollywood drama is just getting started.